Welcome to Be Strong, Be You, everyone. It has been a few weeks and I'm here. I've had a lot going on, getting back to school, getting my son for school. I had a very ill relative, actually one of my sisters, so I was just trying to, I had to really focus on some things, and not that the blog was not a priority, it just had to be put on the back burner, but I'm here. And thank you so much for all of the Alopecians and supporters who reached out, read my blog, emailed, and as always, I'm going to do a shout out for them. So I had to make a list. It was so many. Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, Morocco, the Philippines, Cyprus, Romania, and South Africa. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the support, as well as from, if you're just now watching this for the first time, if you're not sure if your country has been called, just go back and review my previous post, and at the beginning of each post I begin to give shout outs to those countries as they join and watch and email me about Be Strong, Be You. So I'm Tanisha Stansel, and I have alopecia areata totalis, which means complete hair loss of the scalp. I've had it since I was 6 years old, and this is my journey of living with it and the things I've endured along with it, and I hope that you are inspired. That's all I really want to do, inspire and touch someone to make it through their story. So when I left my post before CrossFit, I was in middle school, and I feel like this might end up being more than one post, because it's just so much that was going on. So I talked about alopecia and home and the beginning of my situation in being abused in my household. So, and this may start to intertwine. My family was a foster home. We were very heavily involved in church, and yes, I feel like I need to say these things because even after I graduate high school, it's going to connect with me as an adult, and me talking about my views and my relationship with God and where my faith is at those times. So as much as I don't want to talk about it, and when I say that, I mean it brings great anxiety, I need to, because I need you to understand. Especially for those who maybe grew up with me and never really realized why I did things I did or said things I said. And a lot of it was because of what I was being exposed to that they did not know. So, my parents were foster parents, and the only time the abuse really would stop was if we took in more children. So in the meantime, and again, I'm not going to indulge on the details because I don't think Facebook is the place for that. Maybe in a different medium, who knows. So when I say that the abuse happened so often that it still, even to this day, at 32 years old, scars me. Like I have to iron every morning. Doesn't matter if it's my clothes or someone else's clothes, like I physically have to iron every day. And that was because at one point, that is how I woke up every day, in the midst of being abused. And then then I was told to go iron. So I hate to do laundry because the laundry room is in the basement, and I just can't stand doing laundry. And I know like there's plenty of people that just don't like to do laundry, but like I really hate to do laundry, and I live in a place where my laundry is in the basement, so I try to avoid going to the basement at all costs. It's just the little things that you think about. So at this point, I really was never able to spend the night at anybody's house. It was a no-go. And surprisingly, the only people I was ever able to stay with were my godparents. And again, reflecting back on a previous post, I think the reason that was because of the relationship built with them and how they were perceived in the public eye, that it wouldn't matter if I told them, they wouldn't believe me. So my faith was, at this point, this is going on behind closed doors. And I have to go to church and be around people and act like it's not happening. But I do remember some of the people maybe starting to see my mannerisms, such as clinging to the males in the church, even if it was like, I just want a hug. And where maybe I thought it was innocent, it was really what I was being exposed to at home. And they would, pull me aside and say, you don't need to be hanging all over him. Don't be giving him no hugs after church. And to me, I thought it was normal. I was like, this is what I do like every day at home. So what is the problem? So that really just began to, and when I said, I'm talking very slowly because I'm trying to be very careful in using my words, because I do know that there may be children even in their teens watching this blog. So I just kind of got to the point where I went to church, and I tried to go to church as much as possible. I think I was trying to be involved in every single thing because school was not working at this point. I got to be in cheerleading, but again, it continued to be very poor attendance. And no matter what I did, if I did anything wrong, it was a no. And I think I knew it was because at this point in 7th grade, that's where I started to realize that I was being secluded and sheltered so I wouldn't say anything. So I began to get really angry. I remember still being very angry about my brother being able to do things. And I remember my friends at school starting to ask me what was going on. Why doesn't your mom ever let you go anywhere? Why do you always have to stay at home? Why can't you come to anything of ours? And there was probably one time in middle school that I was actually able to stay with someone for one night. And again, it was because of religion and things of that nature. So I stayed and I had a blast. And of course, when I went to my godparents, I was with my sisters and we had a blast. But the rest of my friends began asking questions. And I remember we would just be like talking about little things in the locker room. And I would just say, I can't. My mom said no. So it was what it was. And they kind of left it alone. And again, we're in middle school. So really what at this point is kind of like, you never get to do nothing with us. And we're such a small town. So I let it go. I was in pageants, 7th and 8th grade and 6th grade, I think. And I have a picture. I hope I make it my feature picture, but I'm actually recording this before I actually choose that. And it was when I was in the pageant that I was really upset that my mom was late. Man, I did my own nails. They were hideous. I had on a wig that was a bob. And I believe that the dress I wore was just like, it was a regular old dress. But I really was, at this point, I felt super ugly. I just felt not beautiful at all. I mean, I'm going to school. I'm trying to do my work. I'm coming home. And at this point, my room, the abuse had gotten so bad that my room actually was moved from the basement to right across from my parents' room. And I was just like, this is ridiculous. This is so ridiculous. And that continued to be where I stayed until I actually graduated high school. So I don't know at this point why I did not tell my mom. I know at one point she started to say she was having dreams that someone, initially she just assumed in the beginning it was, are you okay? And I had a dream that someone is messing with you. And at that point she thought I was messing with someone outside of my home. And I said, and that's literally how I took it. And I said, no, that I'm not messing with anybody. And I mean, that was the truth at that point. I said, I'm not messing with anybody. I'm not doing anything. And she was just watching the signs of me mature as a female and was just noticing that some things were not right. And it's a mother's intuition. You know when your child is going through something. And I believe my mom did know. She just didn't have her finger on it of exactly what it was. And even though she kept saying it in that way, I just never said what was going on. And there were a few instances where she would be gone for the weekend and she would come back and she would ask me questions, and I would tell her, such as, where did you sleep last night? And I would tell her. And it was kind of one of those, I felt like we were just building this secretive relationship about what was happening to me when I wasn't in her sight. And I guess as a child, you just think that the parent, now that I'm older, you think that the parent is going to put two and two together. And I think maybe she was, but she just wasn't ready to say it and admit that it was going on. So she just continued to prompt me for information. And as you see, as we move forward, she's going to keep putting it together until she just finally asked me. So that was middle school. I still had the braces. I had the braces all the way through high school. And at the end of middle school, before I began high school, I ended up getting in trouble for being inappropriate with another male that was around my age. And he asked me to do something, and I did it. And I didn't think twice about doing it, because this is what I've been told to do in my home. Like, I'm being told to do something and I do it. And when I did it to the person who was my age, and of course it got out, small town stuff, I was in so much trouble. I was punished. I could not leave the city limits. When I tell you my city's 1,500 people, it's 1,500 people. I was told I could not leave that town without my parent or my grandmother. You would have thought, I can't even tell you what you would have thought, but I was at that point in captivity. But what made me mad is, even as we were sitting there, they were trying to get the truth out about who was where and who did what. In my mind, I thought, we're all in this small town. I don't even go nowhere. I can't even spend the night at nobody's house. So can someone in this room please tell me, where would I get the idea to be sexual with this person and not think twice about it? And no one did. No one did. Neither did I at that point, but now that I'm older, I'm like, no one saw it, and maybe they did and just didn't want to admit it. So that's where I'm going to stop it, because my next post is going to be about when I told the truth and how that went over. But up until this point, after that happened, I went straight into my high school year doing nothing. I mean, nothing. It was, man, when you say kids are like grounded for like a week, I was grounded for months. School, home, church. Not even being able to interact with people, really. It was bad. It was bad. And home starts to get a little worse, because at this point, they're starting to see that, I think in my mom's mind, what was going on is starting to come out. And they were just trying to contain it all real quick. So that's where I'll leave the story today. It's just kind of setting up, and I'm really sorry. I'm just trying to set it up, because when high school gets here, I just really need you all to understand the foundation so that I can really make those connections for you. And even as I'm telling the story, I hope those who did know me start to see the connections now as you've listened to me talk. So I will see you all next week. I love you all. I will be on live this weekend, I hope. Maybe even Thursday at the earliest. But I love you all. Thank you so much for supporting me. And you all have a great week. So be strong and be you.